Now, continuing the planning for teaching IT PowerPoint, we're going to discuss slide 26. Affective domain, Krathel 1964, deals with attitudinal, emotional, and valuing goals for learners. So it deals with the attitudes and emotions. Next point, difficult to measure the cognitive behavior. Difficult to measure than cognitive behavior. Next point, follows a similar hierarchical pattern ranging from the simple receiving of stimuli to the development of a value system that characterizes an individual's lifestyle. So there are 5 points to affective domain. You don't have to, I guess you don't have to learn them because it doesn't really go into it, but it just tells you. So affective domain is receiving, number 1 receiving, 2 responding, 3 valuing, 4 organizing, 5 characterization by value of complex. So the way I remember this is RRVOC. So RRVOC. Receiving, responding, valuing, organization, characterization. So remember, when learning these 5 points, think of attitudes and emotions and someone's cognitive behavior. Okay, now moving on to the third part is psychomotor domain, Simpson 1972. Point 1, related to physical skills, learning how to use digital camera keyboard skills. Next point, not as well organized as cognitive and affective domains. So psychomotor, when I think of psychomotor, just think of motor like a car, so it's something physical. So psychomotor domain. First point is perception. First step in performing a motor act is the process of becoming aware of objects or relations by the way of sense organs. So example is recognizing malfunction by sound or of a machine. So like when the printer runs out of paper, it goes doot doot or makes whatever sound. Your perception allows you to do that. Okay, next point is set. The learners are ready to perform a skill or action. This category includes mental set, physical set, and emotional set. Example, shows desire to type efficiently. So what does this mean? The learners are ready to perform a skill or an action. This category includes mental set, physical set, and emotional set. You show desire to type efficiently, so I guess like you show the will that you want to type faster. Okay, guided response. This is an early step in the development of motor skill. Learners practice the skill under the supervision of an expert. Example, performs a PowerPoint presentation as demonstrated. So guided response. This is the early step in the development of a motor skill. So learners practice the skill under supervision of an expert. So I guess the teacher will teach me how to use PowerPoint, then showing me visually, and then I'll go and do it myself. Mechanism, the learner has achieved a certain confidence and degree of skill in the performance of an act. The learner becomes more confident as the skill becomes habitual. Example, setting up laboratory equipment. So mechanism, I think this came up on the midterm, and I think I guessed it, but I got it right. So the learners have achieved a certain confidence and a degree of skill. So once you learn to do something and you're confident to do it, that's mechanism. Okay. Okay, the next point is complex overt response. The skillful performance of a motor act that involves complex movement or patterns. This category includes resolution of uncertainty, performs without hesitation, and automatic performance. Movements are made with ease and a good muscle control. The learners perform the skill with a high degree of proficiency, so demonstrate a skill in programming a computer. So I think this quite speaks for itself. Okay, now moving on to adaptation. Skills are so well developed that the individual can modify movement patterns to fit special requirements or meet a problem situation. Example, modifying swimming strokes to fit the roughness of the water. I think it's quite, you should know what adaptation is. Just remember, adapt to the environment. Origination, even if I read this, probably something to do with being original. So origination, creating a new movement pattern to fit a particular situation or specific problem. So origination is to be original. So when there's a problem, you make a new movement or you try to solve in a new way. So creating a new movement pattern to fit a particular situation or specific problem. Emphasis will be creativity based upon high developed skills. Example, design a new instructional program, which we did for instructional technology, I think. Okay, next PowerPoint slide is the ABCDs of well-stated objectives. So A, audience; B, behavior; C, conditions; D, degree. Audience, behavior, conditions, degree. So audience, focus on what learners are doing. Learning is most likely to take place when learners are active. Behavior, the heart of the objective is is the verb describing what the audience will have after the instructions. Conditions, how will the performance be observed. Degree indicates the standard of criterion by which acceptable performance will be judged, i.e. time and accuracy. So that's the ABCDs of well-stated objectives. So what is this? We have a list. Okay, these are just some questions. You can pause it here, go to the questions if you want. I'm not going to bother reading that. Okay, when are objectives good? Are the objectives relevant to the curriculum for which the students will be held accountable? Do the objectives promote a range of learning outcomes across the several domains, cognitive, affective, psychomotor? Do the objectives promote a range of levels of understanding or performance, high, low or high, within each domain? When are objectives good? Are the objectives written of what learners are expected to know or do? Are they specific enough that the students will be aware of exactly what they need to know and do? Next point, are the objectives achievable by this group of students? Do the objectives correspond to the readiness and ability levels of the students? Do the objectives take individual differences into account? So this again is a diagram of lesson planning process. Have a look, pause it. Guidelines of selecting instructional activities. Potential to help students master. Number 1, potential to help students master the stated objectives. 2, actively involve students in learning and practicing the behavior stated in the objects. Again, this is the same lesson planning process. So now moving on to assessment. Assessment. How will I know if students have achieved the learning objectives of a particular lesson or an entire course? What am I willing to accept as evidence that students have achieved the objectives? I think we all studied the assessment PowerPoint. This is probably talks about it better in there, but so lesson plan form, learning objectives, learning activities, organization, then assessment. So you list the objectives, the activities they're going to do, how you've organized it, how you're going to assess it. That's it for planning for teaching and achieving.